Hey, everybody. We are so thrilled to be broadcasting live from the DNC. We are on Media Row and thrilled to be joined by Congresswoman Jennifer McClellan of Virginia.
That's right.
What's your district?
I am Virginia's 4th district. I came in a special and am the first black woman elected to Congress from the Commonwealth.
Oh, thank you for your service.
Thank
I appreciate
you.
that.
Absolutely.
Congratulations. How long have you been in office?
Since March of 23.
Oh, my goodness.
Brand
new. You're a baby Congresswoman.
I'm a baby Congresswoman.
Outstanding. So where did you grow up in Virginia?
So I was born and raised in right outside of Petersburg, if anybody knows where Virginia State University is, right near there. And then moved to Richmond and represented the Metro Richmond area in our state legislature for 18 years.
Okay.
And then came to Congress in a special when my predecessor passed away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's kind of got thrown in the deep end.
Truly. I mean, especially in this moment in history.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, like anywhere since 2016 has been just complete chaos.
Yes.
What got you involved in politics and wanting to serve in government?
So I'm a nerd made good.
I love it.
My parents were older. They grew up during the Depression, during Jim Crow, and listening to their stories and my own study of history, I came to see government as a force for good that helps people, or it can be a force that oppresses some for the benefit of a few. So at 11, I decided I want to make government that force for good. Didn't quite know what that meant, but when I went to college, I knew I was a Democrat. I got involved with the Young Democrats and just volunteered on elections, and eventually my state representative ran for higher office and called and said, "You think you might want to run for office one day?" I said, "Yeah, maybe one day." And she's like, "That day is here." So the rest is history.
And this is my guest co-host today is Richard Chu, the host of our morning shows, 6 a.m. in Chicago. We're Progressive Talk. And I have, one of the things that we discuss a lot is how much conservative radio has really taken a hold of, from Rush Limbaugh, and actually before that when Roger Ailes, decided to create this market of angry talk show hosts. Yeah. When you became involved in politics, it really that identity politics, attacking people, all these issues of what we teach people in history, who people love. Like when you and I were growing up in the 70s, and Richard, when we were all younger, maybe it was background noise, and people might say things about people, about their sexuality and things. And there was, believe me, I know that there was dehumanizing each other.
Oh, sure.
But to this level of using it as a weapon,
it wasn't like that. And it was, I'm Gen X. I was born in 1972, and I went to my high school was the first, opened as the first integrated high school in my hometown, and it was 50-50. And, you had some people who you knew were racist or you knew were homophobic or
exactly.
One of the isms.
That's the way I remember it.
But it wasn't. They were the outliers.
Yes.
And I think and it really wasn't until Barack Obama came on the scene. And I got to give you a history lesson very quickly. Every time in American history that marginalized people in general and black people specifically have gained social, political, and economic power, there's been a backlash that has involved propaganda, violence, and voter suppression.
Yep.
Go back to Reconstruction, and when Barack Obama was elected president, we got the backlash of Donald Trump, birtherism, and the gutting of the Civil Rights Act, and a wave of voter suppression laws.
And to mirror that, the increase in sort of going after our immigrant populations.
Yep.
But in this case, in the conversation around immigration, it's all about, and you've heard me talk about this, we have immigrants that come from all over the world. But when people think about immigration, they think about the border. Which border are we talking about? The southern border.
Right. So they're not talking about Canada.
They're not talking about Canada. They're not talking about the planes that land in our various airports that are, on our two east and west borders, if you will. But you're absolutely right, and not a lot of people draw down on that whenever there is a large group of people of color, of culture, of gender that move to the next level of social and economic status and political power. There is a huge amount of pushback. And we can go back as far as the great statement from Fannie Lou Hamer.
Before that.
Before that, certainly.
You go back to, and my home family has this history. You go back to the gains of Reconstruction, and then there was a wave when the old Confederate power guard came back into power. And so my great-grandfather, who gained the right to vote during Reconstruction, then had to, in 1901, take a literacy test twice, and then find 3 white men to vouch for him to be able to vote. And that's when you saw the wave of racial terror lynchings. You saw the rise of the lost cause narrative to break up this coalition of formerly enslaved people and poorer rural whites. And so that's the first backlash. Fannie Lou Hamer came along in the second backlash, and it's the cycle keeps going. But as John Lewis said, democracy is not a state; it's an action that requires every generation to do its part to build the beloved community. So we're doing our part, and we're about to shatter a glass ceiling in the process and bring some joy back.
We're breaking off the hinges on this one. And as a guy, I'm just and Patty's heard me say this so many times. I'm that guy that was raised by strong women and strong men. So I understand my place when it comes to the strength of women right now. And I'm so excited because, I'm asking guys, I'm darn near telling guys, and you've heard me say this, guys, we got to do more. It's our time to support all of the women that are in our lives. Politically, socially, economically.
We supported y'all from the beginning.
hey, I told you, I know my...
Yeah. We are talking to Congresswoman Jennifer McClellan of Virginia. Tell me how... Okay, we see all the chaos on C-SPAN. I'm a dork. I'm a nerd. As well. I ran for local office. I was not successful, but I worked for the state of Illinois as a policy advisor in the comptroller's office.
Do it again.
Controllers. I'm good right now because here's the thing. When we talk about, but again, that's what I wanted to start out talking about with progressive radio. Like our mission here is to get these conversations out to folks, to know that they have a space where we can talk about things that are so important in our communities. And so, how do you? This is what I want to get to. How do you maintain your sanity in that chamber? Because that is, when I hear, and several of those people open their mouth. It's just insane.
It is insane.
We were just
I'm here to not think about it. I'm surrounded by happy people on the same team. But
and you guys can't see her body language.
Yeah. What are your FCC regulations?
Well, look, I'm going to be honest. I learned transcendental meditation earlier this year.
Okay.
And that helps.
Do you do it while you're on the floor or in committees or anything?
No, I do.
She does have her woosah
I'm going to leave my body.
I do. Every once in a while, somebody will say something and I'll just be like, breathe. But no, I do. I meditate twice a day, usually first thing in the morning and once in the afternoon. And it helps me be in a state of response rather than reaction, which is very important there.
Very different too.
So but if I lack impulse control, is what you're saying. Go ahead.
Yes, but having parents who were sort of between the silent generation and boomers, and I was the youngest of 3 girls, and I learned watching my sisters fight with my dad and never get their way. First you got to learn to listen.
Yeah.
Yep.
And meet people where they are, until they give you a reason not to. So even some of the crazies, I'm like, all right, why? Let me try to understand why you believe what you believe.
And can you get there? Have you gotten there with anyone?
Some.
Okay.
Some. I don't agree with them. But I'm like, all right, some you can tell it comes from a genuine core belief system. And it's like, I don't agree with it, but I understand why you believe what you believe, and I know I'll probably never convince you to change your mind, and I'm not going to try. Others, they're just crazy.
I
knew it. Patty, you were waiting too, right? She's going to say it. It's just like Representative Goldman. Kind of similar. It's like there's some folks you can work with, and some folks you just got to kick to the back of the room.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you lose the time you spend trying to get those folks.
Don't do it.
You could where there's folks right here that you can bring into the fold.
But let me say, the vast majority of people on both sides of the aisle are there for the right reasons. They just have very different views of the world and the role of government. There are, I would say, a couple dozen on the extremes who just are there to cause, especially MAGA Republicans are just there, to cause chaos. and break government and to destroy people's faith in government and to get famous.
Is some of that generated because of or by the fact that there's so much money in politics that is supporting the entities that have the money that have supported those representatives and senators that want to see things be torn down because it then gives them more power from a economic standpoint?
Yes. Well, they want to distract you with the crazy on one side, so that you're not paying attention to the policy they're trying to implement on the other side.
Which is how we get to a Project 2025 in many ways.
Correct.
Okay. We need to win the House. We do.
We are so excited
because
about
otherwise, because otherwise, with a President Harris, it is just investigations then, and bringing in charges.
Yeah.
For I don't mean to. I don't mean to. I want.
That's not going to happen.
I'm telling my audience how imperative it is to make sure that.
I would even go before that. Who do you think is going to certify the election?
Right.
It's the House.
The House.
And if the
current House. It's not the. Is that
no,
right?
No. It's
we have to win. If we win, they're inaugurated.
So even before,
and they validate.
Yes, because the new Congress starts on January 3rd, and they certify. So the question is, do you want the election results to be certified by Mike Johnson, who's an election denier, and was the architect of the legal theory behind January 6th?
Yep.
Or do you want it to be led by Speaker Hakeem Jeffries?
I don't know who else.
I go with the second choice. I go B.
I missed the first 15 votes for Speaker, but I did vote for him, I think, 5 times in what I called Speakergate.
Okay.
So the second round.
Well, Congresswoman, I know that I believe that your schedulers are. I feel like everyone's hovering around.
Because they got to go. They got to go.
They're just,
Oh, are you good? You good for a few minutes? All right.
Good,
all right. Excellent. So how do we get there, though? Because, I mean, do you feel, I know that some people look at polling and things like that, but with Vice President Harris and Governor Walz on this ticket, it seems like people are coming out. Campaign offices are being filled with volunteers.
I have seen... Yeah, I'm not going to give you the numbers because nobody's going to remember that. But let me just show you on the ground anecdotally. The weekend after she became the candidate, I did a canvas launch, and we got like 50 people, which is big for a single canvas launch. 15 of them, it was the first time in their life they had canvassed.
Wow.
And they were pumped.
What was their age range? I'm just curious.
It was everything from mid-20s to 60s. I went, and I was like blown away by how many people started calling and texting, being like, how do I get involved? How do I make doors? What do I need to do to help?
Above that 50, that initial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then has that been sustainable or sustained?
It has been sustained, but all of your listeners, I'm going to say this. It's like, the Zooms are great. Watching the convention is great. But your vote is your power. But it, in and of itself, is not alone. You need to do remember how you felt the day after the election 2016, if you're old enough. Or remember how you felt on January 6th. And then resolve that you're never going to feel that way again. Go sign up for a Canvas shift. Go sign up for a phone bank. Organize your friends. Register voters. Check your voter registration, because in some states they're trying to kick people off the rolls. And get at least 10 people to vote. Excellent
advice. We're going to do this. I feel good about it. We will volunteer in Kenosha and all parts of Wisconsin. Yes. We're working. We cross the cheese wall. Yes. Congresswoman Jennifer McClellan, I'm so honored to meet you. I hope we can stay in touch with you and do radio interviews. I know Richard wants to add you to his contact list as well. We want to stay in touch because you're extraordinary. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
And where can folks go to support you? Where would you like to direct folks for more information or social media?
JenniferMcClellan.com is my website. And on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Threads, Jen with 2 N's, McClellan VA. I'm not on TikTok because
I don't blame you.
It's too much. It's too many.
It's too much. Yeah, but I don't have somebody to do all the cross posting for me.
Exactly.
Have fun. I hope to see you again in the hallways and celebrate with you in the days to come. And I look forward to celebrating with you on election night.
Thank you. Keep the joy
from a distance.
We will.
Thank you,
so much for joining us.